am actually on my way to work, but I haven't been on here in a while because I've been so busy with work. And so I've been missing y'all, and I just wanted to come on and say hi. And I just wanted to let y'all know, even if I'm not on here doing lives, I am always praying for y'all. Like, I seriously am always praying for y'all. If I get busy during the day, it doesn't matter, because at night, when I lay my head down, I pray for y'all. On my way to work, typically, the reason why I'm not doing lives is because I listen to my Bible app and I pray. So I want you to know that you are being prayed for. And we have gotten a lot of new moms on here lately, and no more new dads, but I think we have 3 or 4 dads. But and some of the stories are very, very sad. Sorry, y'all, my internet keeps going out. Anyway, I've seen new moms come on and reading stories, and my heart is bleeding for y'all so much. But the one thing, the reason that I started this group almost a year ago now was because of how bad that I suffered and wanted to die, didn't want to live, literally didn't allow any kind of happiness in my life because it made me feel guilty. And going through everything that I've gone through since the death of my 3 sons and recently my stepdaughter, I just, I thought I was going to die. I didn't think anything would ever get better. I thought that I was better off if I even took my life. Not to say that I was on the verge, but I did want to die. And those thoughts crossed my mind because I didn't think that life would ever get better. I thought that I would be in the misery that I was in for the rest of my life. And what kind of life is that, right? So, I just want y'all to know, I know where you're at right now, and it's normal. And that's where this journey brings us, is this horrible, horrible grief, and to where you don't want to live. And if you do have any kind of pleasure, you kind of stop it because you feel guilty. And y'all, that is normal, but that's not what your angel would want, and it's not what God wants. The Bible says that God will make something good come from everything bad. And I know that sounds like, who cares? I mean, who cares? My child's gone, so why do I even care that something else could come good from it? But sometimes the death of our children, or a child, can bring someone to God, or maybe something worse could have happened in their future. I don't know. I don't know. I'm like y'all. I do a lot of what ifs and guessing because I don't know. So I just think that I'm not saying that everything is God's will. People think that everything is God's will, and that's not necessarily true. Everything that happens is not God's will. But God does give us free will to live as we want and do as we want. However, if you live a Christian life, or if you live for God, if you're saved, then you live in the favor of God, and God gives you favor and blessings. And so it makes your life so much better than if you're not living for God. And sometimes when you're not living for God and you're not living underneath God's umbrella of protection, then things happen, and bad things happen. And the enemy, when the enemy is attacking you, and as my oldest son's case, the enemy was attacking him, and and that's why he committed suicide, because the enemy wouldn't stop attacking him and telling him he was worthless and that he was better off if he was gone, because it would be better for the whole family. And he wasn't necessarily living the life and wasn't living under the will of God, and so God's protection wasn't there. It doesn't mean that God didn't love him, and God isn't merciful, and God judges you by your heart, not by your actions. And my son had a good heart, and he did love God, so I know that he's in heaven. But as my second son also wasn't living the life to stay in God's protection. So things happen, and unfortunately my third son too, and it's so sad, which is why I pray all the time, and I'm trying my hardest to have my son now live under God's protection, and he does. And y'all, the favor of God is all over him, because he is living for God. And I'm not saying he's perfect. He's not. None of us are. That's not, God knows we're not. I mean, God didn't hang out with the righteous. He hung out with the thieves and murderers and adulterers. I mean, those are the ones that he knew their heart and wanted to save them. He didn't just hang out with the righteous. Kara. Hi, Kara. I was in that place the other day. I'm so sorry. It is the worst place to be in. Feeling like you want to die, and that you're better off. After my three sons died, it was so bad, and I was so distraught, and I was so beside myself, and I was a shell of myself. And I thought that, my son, my surviving son, what kind of life was he going to have? His father had turned to drugs and alcohol. His mom couldn't get out of bed. And, and I was being tormented by the enemy. Tormented horribly. Even in my dreams, I couldn't even go to sleep and get away from the enemy. I would feel them beating me and biting me and pulling my hair and just hurting me. I mean, the enemy is real. And I know I would have died had I not have turned to God. And I'd always loved God and always prayed and talked to God, but I wasn't living the life. And then I was angry. I was angry at God, like, what the heck? Those are my babies, and I loved them so much, and you took the only thing that was important to me that made my life worth living. And so I was angry. But when I turned my life to God and started praying and having faith that he was going to help me, things changed. And when I say things changed, I mean they changed. They didn't change overnight, but God kept sending people in my path to help me. He kept connecting me with the people that spoke goodness over me and that were good to me. And he knew what I needed, and he sent those messengers to me and those people to me. And at first I didn't even know. I just thought, how lucky am I that, this person showed up in my life, or that person showed up in my life to help me or whatever, because my son and I were homeless. After I lost my three sons, my husband turned to, self-medicating and left, and, it was so bad. And so my son and I lost our home and were homeless. But in that time, I was being tormented so much from Satan, and I didn't think that I would ever survive it. But when I just turned it over to God, knowing that there is no way that I can get through this on my own, things started happening, and things got better. And although it didn't happen overnight, slowly but surely it happened. And the more I realized that it was God and gave him the praise for it, more and more good things started happening, and God started allowing me to accept the goodness that was happening to me and not push it away feeling that I was unworthy because my children were gone, or that somehow I was dishonoring them because I was having any kind of pleasure. So I guess my word to y'all today, and what I want y'all to know today, is that hang in there, because what's going on today and how you feel today is not going to always be. Yes, you're never going to be the person you were, and this journey is hard. It's so hard, but you're going to be better than where you are today, and you're going to want to live again, and God will help you through this if you just have a little faith and just keep talking to him. Just talk to him. Hey, Jesse. My oldest son, Randall, he committed suicide. He was 23. And 4 months later, my 21-year-old was in a car accident. And I was picking him up from a nightclub, and it was late and dark and rainy, and I lost control of the car, and he was ejected, and he died. And less than 2 years later, my 19-year-old was self-medicating, and he accidentally overdosed. And, he also had a couple guys that were crushing up some pain pills and Xanax and putting it in his beer, thinking they would chill him out because he was so upset. And he aspirated in the night and lost his life. And then last year, my stepdaughter was found hanging in a friend of her boyfriend's shed. And her mom said that everything pointed towards foul play, but they did end up saying it was suicide. So I know your pain. I know where you're at. I know what you're going through. It's so hard. It's so devastating. And there's days that you don't want to live. You don't feel worthy. The guilt after losing a child to suicide or anything, driving the vehicle, or so many things, the guilt that attacks you, but that's the enemy attacking you too. It just makes you feel like you're better off gone. Hey, LaShonda. But that's not the case, y'all. You're not better off gone. God left you here for a reason. You have a purpose. You have a purpose on this earth. Just like Jesse. Jesse wrote a really good book that if y'all have not bought, you can get it on Amazon. It's called Losing Faith, Finding Hope. And great book, and it's a story that he tells about his sweet faith that died. And very inspiring. So I'm just saying, God works through him to help others too. And God, you're here for a reason. You have a purpose. We all have a purpose. God sent us to this earth with a purpose. Sometimes we don't know our purpose and we don't live our purpose, but there is a purpose for us here. And somehow I feel like my purpose right now is to just let you know that, there is going to be a rainbow at the end of this storm that you're going through. And your angel's okay. They're in a better place. They're in a good place. And we have to let go of all the anger and that we're going through right now, because anger will kill us. Y'all, I don't know how many times that I almost died after losing my children. I was hospitalized so many times. I've had 2 mini strokes. So many things have happened to me. I went blind in my left eye. all these things all contribute from depression and grief. Grief can take your life if it's a real thing. It's not, I mean, my doctor had to, explain it to me over and over. He said, but it is a real thing. You have to, and of course I did get on depression medication, and I was never on medication before, and it has helped me. But my biggest help, my biggest hope is in God, because when I turned it over to Him and said, God, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'm losing my mind. I'm going crazy. I'm losing my mind. I can't do this anymore. I'm failing as a mom to my only son because I can't get out of bed. I need help. And He sent in the armies. And day by day, things happened, and He helped me, and He pulled me out of the hole that I was in, and to the place where I am today, where I'm able to live life, enjoy life. I look forward to the future, y'all. That's something I never thought I would do again. I look forward to the future. I look forward to having grandkids. I look forward to having great grandkids. I was out on the boat with my son and his girlfriend and my husband yesterday. My husband and I were separated for 10 years, y'all. 10 years. But God restored that relationship. And it's not easy, but He restored it, because He said He would restore everything that Satan had taken from me. He sent a messenger to tell me that. And as Job in the Bible, because of my faithfulness, he was going to restore everything that Satan has taken from me. And He's done it. Not everything, but it's happening. I mean, every day God shows me of His blessings that I don't deserve, but He shows them to me. And He wants to do that for you too. You just have to let Him. And I know when people used to say that I needed to just let Him, I was like, well, I'm not trying to stop Him. But sometimes we do block God's blessings. We block them by, living our way and thinking our way and not, submitting ourselves to Him. And so I just encourage y'all today to turn it over to God and just talk to Him. It says if you just have a relationship with Him. And what's a relationship? It's just talking to Him. Usually on my way to work, I'm talking to God, and I'm listening to my Bible. You can download the app on your phone and listen to it, and then just talk to Him and pray. If you don't want to hear, I downloaded the Pray app, and it prays with you, but it also, it reads the Bible, but it tells you the stories in the Bible, so that it's like a book that you're listening to instead of words that you can't understand. And I have, just in this last couple months, I have learned so much, just so much. And I know of God's goodness and His grace and His mercy and what He wants to do for us. So my prayer for y'all today is that God will comfort your hearts, surround you, envelope you with His grace and mercy, so that you can have peace and feel His love and not mourn today. Just one day, not hurt as bad as you did yesterday. I pray this for you. Hey, Barbara Ann. And y'all, I know I've gone back to work, and wasn't my choice. I was really hoping to get my business started at home really good, but sometimes things don't happen in your timing, and so I'm back out of the house working, and so I don't have all the time that I typically did, where I could come on and be live with y'all a couple times a week. But I haven't forgot you, and I pray for y'all every day, and I still read your messages. And for the ones of y'all that message me, if you friend me on my regular Facebook page, then it's much easier to message me when you have something you want me to pray for you. And I get those messages, and I love those messages, and I stop and I pray. I'm not one of those people that send up praying hand emojis or text you that I'm praying and I'm not. When I say that I'm praying for you, I'm praying for you. And I'm not usually praying for you by myself. I usually get my son to pray with me, or my husband, because God says that where two or more joined in prayer, there's power in that. And so if you're praying and I'm praying, then there is power in that too. So I encourage y'all to pray today, talk to God, and just try and feel positive today, and feel as though your angel's with you, loving you, and wanting to be in a good place with you. I always imagine my boys with me, and I think, oh, I don't want to be sad and yucky today because he's with me. I want to be, they're with me. I want to be happy and them to be in a good place. So I just encourage y'all today to start your morning off with some prayer, and just thanking God for healing your broken heart. Thank Him in advance. Your heart's not ever going to be totally healed because it is indeed broken, but it can get so much better. So I have just arrived at my destination and I have to go in here and go to work. But I love y'all. I'm praying for you. And if you need specific prayer, just reach out to me on Messenger, and I will be happy to pray for you. Okay, I love y'all.